Plumbing should be simple. Water goes in, waste goes out, everyone stops panicking. Then the complaints roll in. Today, it's 69 stupidest plumbing service complaints from people who demand refunds because the plumber was too fast, too on time, or because their faucet failed to repel water like a force field. This is customer service, but cursed. 1. You would think people want their plumbing disasters fixed quickly, right? Not this guy. A homeowner actually filed a formal complaint against a master plumber for finishing the job too fast. The pro replaced a faulty valve in 20 minutes flat, saving the basement from flooding. But the customer refused to pay the full hourly rate. He argued that since the plumber didn't sweat or struggle for at least 60 minutes, the job wasn't hard enough to justify the price tag. Apparently, efficiency is now a scam. 2. A landlord called a plumbing service in a rage, screaming that the new garbage disposal they installed was a complete piece of junk because it broke on the very first day. When the technician arrived to inspect the defective unit, he found the problem immediately. The tenant had tried to shove an entire, intact rotisserie chicken carcass down the drain. Bones, skin, and all. The landlord still demanded a refund, claiming the box said it could handle food waste. And last time he checked, chicken was food. 3. This one falls under the category of complete denial of reality. A woman called her local plumber to complain that her toilet was backing up, but she aggressively insisted that nobody had used it. She claimed it just did that on its own. When the plumber snaked the drain and pulled out a tangled mass of exactly 6 distinct pairs of lace underwear, her reaction wasn't embarrassment. She got angry and wrote a 1-star review, accusing the plumber of planting the lingerie there to frame her for the clog. 4. We all know that flushable wipes are the arch nemesis of modern plumbing, but try telling that to this customer. After a plumber spent 3 hours clearing a massive blockage of baby wipes from the main line, he showed the homeowner the pile of white, non-biodegradable evidence. The homeowner looked him dead in the eye and filed a complaint with the company office. Her logic? The package said flushable, so if they clogged the pipes, the plumber must have installed defective pipes that were too narrow for her premium wipes. 5. An elderly couple called for emergency service on Christmas Eve because their kitchen sink was dripping slightly. The dispatcher clearly explained the triple-time holiday emergency rate 3 separate times before sending the truck. The plumber arrived, tightened a washer in 5 minutes, and presented the bill. The next day, the company received a furious email claiming elder abuse. The couple argued that since the plumber was probably bored at home anyway, he should have been grateful for the work and charged them the standard weekday price. 6. Sometimes the complaint isn't about the work, but about the aesthetics of things nobody will ever see. A wealthy homeowner hired a team to repipe his crawl space, a dark, dirty area under the house that is accessible only by a small trapdoor. After the job was done, he crawled down there with a flashlight and refused to pay the final installment. His complaint? The copper pipes weren't polished to a high enough shine. He literally wanted the sewage lines under his house to sparkle like jewelry. 7. You have to feel for the plumbers who deal with internet experts. A man watched a few DIY videos and decided his water pressure regulator was installed backward, even though he had 0 issues with water flow. He harassed the plumbing company for days, demanding they come back and flip it around for free. When the manager finally explained that flipping it would cut off water to his entire house, the guy claimed they were just trying to gaslight him to protect their trade secrets. 8. This might be the most entitled complaint on the list. A plumber arrived at a luxury apartment to fix a shower leak and, as per company policy, put on those little blue protective booties over his work boots to keep the floors clean. The homeowner filed a complaint the next morning. She wasn't mad about the repair. She was furious that the blue booties clashed horribly with her bathroom's beige and cream color scheme and ruined the vibe while he was working. She actually demanded a discount for the visual distress. 9. A frantic customer called a 24-hour plumbing line, screaming that his toilet was making a terrifying hissing noise and was about to explode like a bomb. The plumber rushed over, treating it as a high-priority hazard. He walked into the bathroom, reached behind the toilet, and turned the water shutoff valve, which was only halfway open, all the way to the left. The hissing stopped instantly. The customer then complained to management that he shouldn't have to pay the service call fee because the plumber didn't use any tools. 10. It takes a special kind of person to blame a plumber for the laws of physics. A woman hired a contractor to install a new high-end soaking tub on the second floor of her Victorian home. Halfway through the installation, she fired him and filed a complaint with the state board. Her grievance? The plumber told her that water is heavy. She wanted the tub filled to the brim, but he warned her that without structural reinforcement, the floor joists would snap. She accused him of being lazy and refusing to install lightweight water. 11. You cannot make up this level of entitlement regarding scheduling. A plumbing dispatcher received a scorching complaint from a woman who was furious that the technician arrived at her house too early. Her appointment window was between 1 and 4 in the afternoon. The plumber pulled into her driveway at 1:05. She claimed this was incredibly rude because she was mentally preparing for a late arrival, and his punctuality threw off her entire afternoon feng shui. She actually demanded a discount for the stress of him being on time. 12. A man called the manufacturer of his electric water heater, screaming that the unit was a total scam because he had zero hot water after only 2 years of use. The service rep asked the standard questions and eventually sent a local pro to investigate. The plumber walked into the garage and found the problem in 3 seconds. The homeowner had turned the circuit breaker off to save money on electricity, genuinely believing the tank would just stay hot forever like a giant magic thermos without any power source. 13. We have to talk about grease, the silent killer of drains. A restaurant owner filed a claim against a plumbing company that had jetted his lines a month prior, saying the work was shoddy because the drains backed up again. When the plumber opened the grease trap, it was a solid block of white hardened fat. The owner argued that he only poured premium extra virgin olive oil down the sink, so it shouldn't clog because olive oil is heart healthy and therefore good for the pipes. 14. Some people really do not understand how water works. A homeowner bought a high-end polished chrome faucet for his master bath. 2 weeks later, he called the showroom in a rage, demanding a full refund and installation costs. His complaint was that the faucet got water spots on it when he used it. The manager tried to explain that water leaves mineral deposits when it dries, but the guy insisted the metal was defective because it wasn't repelling the water like a force field. 15. Here is a classic case of DIY confidence meeting reality. A guy tried to fix a pinhole leak in a copper pipe by wrapping it tightly with 10 layers of electrical tape. Surprisingly, the tape failed and the basement flooded. He hired a plumber to fix it properly but then complained to the Better Business Bureau. He claimed the plumber upsold him on welding and copper replacement when all he really needed was professional grade tape and a better wrapping technique. 16. Every winter, plumbers deal with frozen pipes, but this complaint takes the cake. A family went to the Bahamas for 2 weeks in January and turned their furnace completely off to lower the heating bill. Obviously, the pipes froze and burst, causing massive damage. They threatened to sue the plumber who built the house 5 years ago, arguing that he should have installed thermal-resistant pipes that generate their own heat, a technology that exists only in science fiction movies. 17. A homeowner with a septic system called a pumping service and accused them of running a scam. The tech had just pumped the tank, but the homeowner was convinced it wasn't necessary. Why? Because he had been flushing packets of dry yeast down the toilet every month. He truly believed the yeast would create a biological reaction that would eat 100% of the waste and turn it into pure oxygen. He was mad that he had to pay to remove actual solid waste. 18. Sometimes the complaint is just a confession of a crime. A landlord called a plumber to fix a slow shower drain in a rental unit. The plumber pulled out a massive clump of hair and soap scum. The landlord refused to pay the bill and filed a complaint, arguing that the plumber should have pushed the clog into the city's sewer instead of pulling it out. He wanted the blockage forced into the public infrastructure so it would become the city's problem, not his. 19. Warranties cover manufacturing defects, not stupidity. A large man called to scream at a plumbing supply store because his wall-mounted toilet had ripped off the wall and shattered. He demanded a free replacement under warranty. Upon inspection, the plumber asked how it happened. The man admitted he was using the toilet bowl as a step stool to change a light bulb above the vanity. He weighed 250 pounds. He genuinely argued that the ceramic should be weight-bearing for maintenance purposes. 20. Have you ever wondered how some people manage to survive adulthood without accidental self-destruction? Listen to this. A woman installed a bidet attachment herself, then called a plumber complaining that the water pressure was assaulting her. It turns out she had connected the bidet directly to the hot water supply line for the washing machine without a regulator. She was blasting scalding hot water at mains pressure into her sensitive areas and blamed the bidet company for trying to cook her. 21. A paranoid homeowner called a leak detection specialist, insisting there was a hidden leak inside his dining room wall because he heard a rhythmic drip, drip, drip every night at exactly 7 p.m. The specialist spent 2 hours with sensitive listening equipment and found nothing. The bill came, and the guy complained, refusing to pay. The source of the sound? It was the homeowner's own grandfather clock in the hallway, ticking slightly louder when the house was quiet. He blamed the plumber for not having good enough ears. 22. A trendy couple installed a rain shower head that hung directly from the ceiling. A week later, they called the plumber back, furious. They claimed the shower was defective because every time they used it, their hair got wet, and sometimes they didn't want to wash their hair. The plumber politely suggested wearing a shower cap or tilting the head. They filed a formal grievance, stating the plumber should have installed a dry mode switch on the shower head that would release water without wetting their heads. 23. A basement waterproofing company received a legal threat from a neighbor, not a customer. The customer's sump pump discharge pipe was doing its job, pumping water out of the basement. The problem was that the customer had modified the pipe with a long extension hose that pointed directly through the fence and into his neighbor's open convertible car window. When the neighbor complained about his wet interior, the customer blamed the plumber for installing a pump that moves water so aggressively. 24. A homeowner called the gas company in a panic, reporting a strong chemical smell near her water heater and demanding an immediate emergency check for a gas leak. A plumber was dispatched alongside the fire department. They found 0 gas leaks. What they did find was that the homeowner had just painted the water heater bright pink with cheap, non-heat-resistant spray paint. When the burner turned on, the paint started cooking. She refused to pay the service fee, arguing that fumes are fumes. 25. Cat owners, please listen. A woman called a plumber to unclog her main sewer line, which had backed up into her bathtub. The plumber had to jackhammer the basement floor to replace a section of pipe that was packed solid with what looked like concrete. It was clumping kitty litter. The woman was furious, screaming that the bag said flushable. She tried to file a claim against the plumber for the floor damage, insisting that his pipes should have been strong enough to crush rocks. 26. You have to admire the frugality, but not the logic. A landlord called to complain that the brand new water heater he bought was defective because the water was ice cold. The technician arrived and found the pilot light was out. The landlord admitted he had turned the gas valve off himself. Why? He wanted to save a few cents on gas while the unit wasn't being used during the day, but he fully expected the water to stay boiling hot inside the tank by magic. 27. A homeowner called to complain that the plumber's sewer camera inspection was an illegal recording. The tech had shown him the live video of a cracked pipe, but the guy panicked and demanded the company delete all footage of my private plumbing because it felt like surveillance. He then asked for a discount since the plumber spent more time filming than fixing, like the pipes were starring in a reality show. 28. This complaint is about luxury features confusing simple minds. A customer purchased a high-end toilet with a soft close seat designed to lower slowly and silently. 2 days later, he called the shop, irate. He claimed the hinges were rusted and seized up because the seat wouldn't slam down instantly when he whacked it. He demanded a fast close replacement because he didn't have the patience to wait 4 seconds for the lid to close. 29. There is nothing worse for a tradesman than the helpful customer. A plumber spent 4 hours repiping a complex bathroom vanity while the homeowner hovered over his shoulder, handing him the wrong tools and asking a million questions. When the bill came, the homeowner deducted 50% from the labor cost. His reasoning? Since he was assisting the whole time, he considered himself an apprentice on the job and billed the plumber for his own time. 30. Winter physics are hard for some people. A man left his garden hose attached to the outdoor spigot during a hard freeze. Naturally, the water trapped inside expanded and burst the brass pipe. He filed a warranty claim against the faucet manufacturer. His argument was that the brass should have been flexible enough to expand with the ice. He essentially wanted metal that behaves like a rubber band. 31. A family complained about a terrible rotten egg smell permeating their entire house. They accused the plumber of cracking a sewer pipe during a previous inspection. The plumber returned and went up to the roof. He found the plumbing vent pipe, which allows sewer gases to escape safely outdoors, completely wrapped in duct tape. The homeowner admitted he taped it shut because he thought heat was escaping from the house through the hole. He was trapping methane inside his own home to save $5 on heating. 32. A woman called to report that her garbage disposal had exploded and was leaking fluid everywhere. The plumber looked under the sink and saw the metal housing was corroded and melting. He asked what she put down the drain. She said she was cleaning the sink and poured a bottle of heavy-duty sulfuric acid drain opener directly into the disposal. When the plumber explained that acid eats metal, she yelled at him for installing a disposal that wasn't acid-proof. 33. A guy decided to replace his own shower valve to save money but ended up calling a pro when the temperature regulation seemed broken. The plumber found the issue immediately. The DIY genius had installed the valve upside down. Hot was cold, and cold was hot. The homeowner refused to believe he made a mistake and instead filed a complaint against the city water department, claiming they had switched the municipal water lines coming into his house just to mess with him. 34. A nervous customer called at 3 in the morning whispering that his walls were pounding and his pipes were about to explode. The plumber rushed over and heard the thudding instantly, then walked to the laundry room and found the washing machine valve barely cracked open, causing brutal water hammer every time it cycled. He turned it fully open and the banging stopped. The customer refused to pay because the plumber did not repair anything and demanded a refund for failing to remove the ghost. 35. You can't fix a problem if the customer lies to your face. A plumber was called to snake a main line blockage at a suburban home. He pulled back the cable, and the cutting head was entangled with thick, fibrous tree roots. He showed the homeowner the roots and recommended a sewer line repair. The homeowner accused him of bringing the roots with him in his truck and planting them on the auger to sell a more expensive job because there are no trees in my bathroom. 36. A homeowner called a plumbing company to complain that his sump pump had failed during a storm, flooding his finished basement. He threatened a lawsuit for the water damage. The technician arrived to inspect the faulty pump and found the power cord lying on the floor. The homeowner had unplugged the sump pump to plug in his treadmill because he wanted to get a workout in while it was raining. He blamed the pump for not having a wireless energy feature. 37. A plumber fixed a running toilet by simply adjusting the float arm, a job that took less than 60 seconds. The bill was the standard service call fee of $80. The customer refused to pay, claiming he was paying for time, not knowledge. He literally argued that since the plumber was only there for a minute, the labor cost should be prorated based on minimum wage. He mailed the company a check for 17 cents and wrote, "Keep the change" in the memo line. 38. A posh boutique hotel manager called about a horrific stench in the lobby restroom, blaming the plumber's recent sewer work for the odor. The plumber investigated and traced the smell to a floor drain. He pried off the grate and found a dense, rotting layer of broccoli and cheese soup. The kitchen staff had been dumping leftovers into the mop sink. The manager still filed a complaint, claiming the plumber installed drains that were defective because they couldn't digest soup. 39. A tech-savvy millennial complained that his new digital shower controller was broken because the water wasn't getting hot enough. He claimed the expensive display was lying to him. The plumber arrived and watched the guy turn it on. He was setting the temperature to 35 degrees Celsius. He thought it was Fahrenheit and was essentially taking lukewarm showers on purpose. He blamed the interface for being European and confusing him, even though he imported the unit specifically for its minimalist look. 40. A downstairs neighbor in a condo complex filed a formal complaint against the building's plumber for failing to fix a persistent ceiling leak from the unit above. The plumber had checked the pipes 3 times and found them bone dry. On the 4th visit, he finally solved the mystery. The leak only happened when the upstairs neighbor's Great Dane drooled on the floor after drinking from his water bowl. The downstairs guy demanded the plumber find a way to waterproof the dog. 41. A customer filed a complaint about unprofessional attitude because the plumber wrote an itemized note on the invoice that said, "Removed, 1 full sandwich from drain line." The customer insisted the wording was insulting and demanded it be changed to something less judgmental, like unexpected organic material. He was not mad about the sandwich being in the pipes. He was mad the plumber described it accurately. 42. A panic-stricken homeowner called the fire department and a plumber because water was squirting out of a small pipe on the side of his house. The plumber arrived and explained it was the temperature and pressure relief valve doing exactly what it was designed to do, releasing excess pressure so the water heater didn't explode. The homeowner filed a complaint, stating he didn't pay for a cowardly water heater that gives up and leaks just because the pressure gets a little high. 43. A man tried to install a toilet himself but couldn't get it to stop rocking on the uneven tile. Instead of using shims, he decided to use industrial-strength construction adhesive. He effectively glued the porcelain toilet to the vinyl floor forever. When the toilet eventually clogged and needed to be pulled up, the plumber had to tell him the floor was coming up with it. The guy blamed the plumber for not carrying a solvent that dissolves permanent glue. 44. A rural homeowner called because his septic field was soggy and smelled like a chemical factory. He had read online that bleach kills bacteria, so he poured 20 gallons of undiluted bleach down the drain to sanitize his septic tank. The plumber had to explain that a septic tank actually needs bacteria to break down waste. The homeowner had killed his entire sewage system. He demanded a refund on the pump out, claiming nobody told him the bacteria were the good guys. 45. During a bitter cold snap, a homeowner wrapped his pipes in heat tape, but he overlapped the tape on itself, which the instructions explicitly forbid because it creates a hot spot. Sure enough, the tape melted the PVC pipe and started a small smolder. He blamed the plumber who installed the pipes 10 years ago, arguing that if the plumber had just routed the pipes through the heated living room instead of the crawl space, he wouldn't have been forced to commit arson. 46. A wealthy client demanded that a plumber rip out all the exposed copper piping in his mechanical room. His complaint wasn't about a leak or a defect. He was furious that the copper was turning brown as it oxidized over time. He thought copper stayed shiny orange forever like a brand new penny. When the plumber explained that oxidation is a natural chemical process, the client accused him of installing fake, gold-plated plastic that was wearing off. 47. A customer bought a battery backup sump pump system to protect his basement during power outages. 3 years later, the power went out during a storm, and the basement flooded. The battery was dead because he had never replaced it or checked the maintenance light. He screamed at the service manager, claiming that he thought the battery was rechargeable forever, like a solar panel, despite the pump being located in a pitch-black hole in the ground. 48. A dispatcher picked up an emergency line at 2:00 a.m. on a Saturday. The caller was frantic. Was it a burst pipe? A gas leak? No, the customer was hearing a ghostly dripping sound that was keeping him awake. The on-call plumber arrived to find the faucet wasn't dripping at all. It was the customer's humidifier in the bedroom making a rhythmic noise. The customer refused to pay the after-hours fee, arguing that the plumber should have known. It wasn't a plumbing issue telepathically. 49. A woman insisted on installing a trendy glass vessel sink that sat on top of the counter. These often don't have overflow drains. A month later, she left the water running while brushing her teeth, and it overflowed onto her hardwood floors. She filed a complaint against the plumbing showroom, screaming that they sold her a dangerous sink. She actually argued that the sink should have had a sensor that screams when the water gets too high, like a car's parking assist. 50 24/7 service doesn't mean instantaneous teleportation, but try telling that to this guy. He called at 4:03 a.m. for a clogged toilet and was told the tech would be there in 40 minutes. He called back at 4:10 a.m., screaming about false advertising. His logic? If the company is open 24 hours, there should be a plumber standing by on every single street block, waiting for his specific call like a weird plumbing ambulance. He genuinely filed a complaint about the unacceptable 7-minute delay. 51. It wasn't the $500 water bill that upset this lady, it was the explanation. She insisted the city meter was spinning too fast because of a government hack. The plumber found 3 toilets running continuously, wasting thousands of gallons. She refused to fix them, claiming the sound of running water was soothing and helped her sleep. She literally preferred paying a fortune and wasting water over fixing a 50-cent flapper, all while blaming a conspiracy theory for the cost. 52. Tankless water heaters are great, but they aren't magic portals to a dimension of infinite fire. A large family complained their new unit couldn't keep up when they ran the dishwasher, washing machine, and 3 showers simultaneously. The plumber explained flow rates and GPM limits. The father got in his face, shouting that tankless implies limitless. He demanded a refund, arguing the machine should generate hot water out of thin air regardless of physics or pipe size. 53. Imagine walking into a basement and smelling fresh-baked goods, only to find a total disaster. A guy tried to stop a leak in a drain pipe by stuffing it with an entire loaf of white bread and wrapping it in duct tape. He read online that bread stops water temporarily for soldering, but he thought it was a permanent fix. When the bread inevitably dissolved and the leak returned, he blamed the plumber for not using the right kind of bread during the initial consult. 54. Cleanliness is usually good, but this customer took it way too far. She called about a sewage smell in her guest bathroom. The plumber found the P-traps were dry because the sink was never used. He explained that water needs to sit in the trap to block sewer gas. She was disgusted. She admitted she used a shop vac to suck the water out of the drains every day to keep them dry and sterile. She was literally vacuuming sewer gas into her own home. 55. A DIY remodeler called a plumber after his bathroom sink randomly stopped draining right after he tiled the floor. The plumber opened the trap and hit a solid plug of hardened grout and thin set, basically a custom concrete cap he had washed down the drain bucket by bucket. The plumber had to chip it out and replace sections of pipe. The homeowner complained that a real professional would have dissolved it instead of charging extra for aggressive chiseling, like cement is supposed to melt out of respect. 56. Fire and plastic pipes are generally a bad combination, a fact that escaped this genius. He tried to thaw a frozen PVC line under his mobile home using a creme brulee torch because it was precision heat. He melted the pipe, caused a massive leak, and then tried to blame the plumbing manufacturer. His complaint stated that the pipe was clearly defective because it couldn't withstand a simple culinary application. He wanted the manufacturer to pay for his lost creme brulee fuel. 57. Gold-plated fixtures require gentle care, not aggressive exfoliation. A wealthy homeowner was furious that her $2,000 faucet was peeling and looked scratched. The plumber asked what she used to clean it. She proudly held up a bottle of abrasive scouring powder and a heavy-duty steel wool pad. She claimed that if the gold was real, it should be harder than steel. She demanded a refund for the fake gold that she had personally scrubbed off. 58. Why do parents always believe their angel children over the evidence? A plumber pulled a pristine Batman action figure out of a clogged toilet trap. The mother stood there, arms crossed, and accused the plumber of bringing the toy with him to plant it. She insisted her son knew better. Even when the kid walked in, pointed at the wet Batman, and yelled, "There he is," the mom still wrote a bad review claiming the plumber was a con artist with props. 59. It's called a garbage disposal, not a trash compactor, the plumber sighed. A customer had shattered a wine glass in the sink and, instead of picking up the pieces, just turned on the disposal to grind it down to sand. Obviously, the machine jammed, and the blades were destroyed. The customer filed a complaint saying the disposal was weak. She argued that since glass is made of sand, the machine should be able to turn it back into sand without complaining. 60. Modern showers have flow restrictors for a reason. One guy drilled his out to get fire hose pressure. A week later, the sheer force of the water physically peeled the grout out from between his tiles and caused a leak behind the wall. He called the plumbing company to fix the leak for free, arguing that they should have warned him that too much power comes with great responsibility. He essentially blamed them for his own modifications working too well. 61. Measurements are apparently open to interpretation for some people. A customer ordered a comfort height toilet, which is slightly taller than standard. After installation, he refused to pay the labor. Why? He claimed his feet dangled an inch off the floor when he sat back, making him feel like a toddler. He accused the plumber of installing the toilet on a hidden pedestal to humiliate him. The plumber measured it. It was standard height. The guy just had really short legs. 62. Permanent plumbing requires permanent materials, not garden supplies. A man ran a green garden hose from his basement sink through the wall and out to his detached garage to supply a sink there. When the hose inevitably burst inside the wall after a month, causing thousands in damage, he blamed the plumber who had visited for a completely different issue a year prior. He claimed the plumber should have sensed the code violation and stopped him from doing it. 63. You can't sanitize stupidity, but this customer expected a plumber to sanitize a biohazard. A man dropped his dentures down the bathroom sink drain and called for an emergency retrieval. The plumber successfully pulled the false teeth out of the sludge in the P-trap. The customer then filed a complaint because the plumber handed the teeth back in a plastic bag instead of sterilizing them on the spot. He genuinely expected the plumber to carry medical-grade dental cleaning equipment in his tool bucket. 64. We live in an era of organic everything, and apparently that now applies to industrial chemicals. A woman complained that the purple primer and PVC cement used to fix her drain pipe smelled like chemicals. The plumber explained that they are, in fact, strong chemicals designed to weld plastic together. She demanded he redo the entire job using essential oils, or an organic, plant-based adhesive that wouldn't offend her nose, completely ignoring the fact that lavender oil doesn't hold sewer pipes together. 65. A tenant on the 4th floor of an older walk-up apartment building screamed at a plumber because his shower pressure wasn't as strong as the fire hydrant outside. The plumber explained the concept of gravity and friction loss to him. The tenant refused to accept this theory. He filed a grievance stating that the plumber was hoarding the water pressure in the basement and refused to release the full flow to the top floor out of spite. 66. This is the classic "I loosened it for you" argument. A plumber struggled for an hour to remove a rusted, seized-up galvanized nipple behind a stove. When he finally wrenched it free, the homeowner clapped sarcastically. Later, the guy disputed the bill, claiming he had mentally loosened it by staring at it for days before the plumber arrived. He argued that since he manifested the repair, he shouldn't have to pay for the physical labor. 67. A frantic woman called a plumber to retrieve her diamond engagement ring, which she swore fell down the shower drain. The plumber took the trap apart, snaked the line, and even checked the main sewer cleanout. Nothing. She instantly accused him of pocketing the ring and threatened to call the police. 2 hours later, she found the ring on her nightstand. Did she apologize? No. She complained that the plumber was incompetent for not checking her nightstand first. 68. A homeowner installed a water softener but forgot to add salt to the tank for 6 months. When the water became hard again, causing scale buildup on his glass shower doors, he blamed the installation company. His reasoning was fascinating. He claimed that the machine should have recycled the salt. He thought the bag of salt he put in half a year ago was a permanent catalyst, like a nuclear fuel rod, and accused the company of selling him a hungry machine. 69. And finally, the complaint that defies the laws of the hemisphere. A woman called her plumber back 3 times because she was convinced her toilet was flushing backwards. She insisted that the water swirling counterclockwise was bad for her home's energy and disrupted her chakras. She demanded the plumber reverse the polarity of the toilet bowl to make the water spin clockwise. When he told her that's just how physics works in the Northern Hemisphere, she accused him of being close-minded. If you watched all 69 and still think the customer is always right, congratulations, you're the final boss. Now I want one thing. Drop the single dumbest complaint you've ever made or heard, and don't sanitize it to sound normal. If your story makes the comments section riot, you win. Hit like if at least one of these people scared you, and subscribe if you enjoy watching basic reality lose lawsuits.